Friends, today I will speak on the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. Before I proceed further, what is the meaning of the word pharmacopoeia, how it was derived? It was derived from ancient Greek word pharmacopoeia. Pharmakon means drug, poea means make, ea means in, which signifies drug making. In Latin text, this is spelled as a pharmacopoeia, and in Greek, later on, in UK English, it is pharmacopoeia. WHO has given the definition about this pharmacopoeia. In fact, it's a formulary, especially an official one and usually having legal force in all pharmacies of a given country, containing a description of drug used in current medical practice and noting then formally analytical composition if known, physical constants, main chemical properties, useful for identification and mode of preparation of compound preparations, combination product. Detail may also be included of assay, methods to regulate purity, content of active principles, preservation of quality, and where appropriate biological potency. This has been said by the WHO, World Health Organization. We have the international and national pharmacopoeias based on the guidelines by the WHO. Now, international pharmacopoeia are recommendations for the consideration of individual countries rather than requirements. International pharmacopoeia doesn't give any requirement, but consideration to form a pharmacopoeia, and this has been said by the standards of the World Health Organizations in 5 volumes. And the second is the national pharmacopoeia, which are the legal force in all pharmacies of a given country. Recognition in national legislation. You can see in United States Pharmacopoeia, it is in 1 volume including national formulary. In British Pharmacopoeia, European Pharmacopoeia, Council of Europe, we have Indian Pharmacopoeia and the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. Indian Pharmacopoeia was pre-independence in India under the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940, edition of the Pharmacopoeia 2014, books of standard drug included therein, and the standards as included in the Indian Pharmacopoeia would be official. This is very important. Whatever the drugs included in the Indian Pharmacopoeia, that is the official one. Also in several other laws of India, the Indian Pharmacopoeia is recognized as the standard book of drug making. In Indian Pharmacopoeia of 2014 volume, have included the 132 herb or the herbal products. Inclusion of the herbs started from 1985 in Indian Pharmacopoeia under the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940, and one can see that gradually their numbers is increasing. It means the herb has important Indian pharmacopoeia. The Indian Pharmacopoeia 8th edition 2018 with DVD has also been published. Recently, the 9th edition of Indian Pharmacopoeia has also been published in 2022. Some more herbs and herbal products are also included in this volume. Now coming to the history of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia. After the Indian Pharmacopoeia, looking to the use of the different products from the Ayurvedic classics, the standard of the drug making was observed to give the quality, safety and efficacious products of Ayurveda to the consumers for their health benefit. In 1946, the first Health Ministers Conference under chairmanship of Lieutenant Colonel R.N. Chopra, who was chairperson of the Indian Pharmacopoeia, was appointed by Government of India. 1955, reiterated by Dave Committee for compilation of the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia, Government of Bombay appointed the Bapalal Committee how to proceed standard and genuine Ayurvedic herbs and drugs in 1955, then standard Ayurvedic herbs and drugs in 1957. In 1962, the first Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee was constituted to prepare the pharmacopoeia under Colonel Ramnath Chopra as a chairperson. And after 10 years, after a decade, the committee was reconstituted under the chairmanship of Professor A.N. Joshi, which took over the work of compilation of the Ayurvedic Formulary of India as a prerequisite for undertaking the work of Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India. It means before preparing a pharmacopoeia, Ayurvedic Formulary of India was taken for further work. The Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940 was amended in 1964 to bring within its purview the drugs of Indian system medicine, Ayurveda, Unani and Siddha. The act is to regulate the import, manufacture, distribution and sale of drugs and cosmetics, which extends to the whole of India. This is about the act in which the definition of Ayurvedic drug has been given, and find it is written in the last, which is specified in the first schedule. The Ayurvedic drugs means the Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani drugs includes all medicines intended for internal or external use. It is not only internal, even external use for or in the diagnosis, treatment, mitigation on prevention of subsection 12 and 13 for Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani Tibba system of medicines. Now, what is the first schedule which came in force from February 1, 1969? specified in that Ayurvedic Formulary of India, Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India, and list of Ayurvedic books. If you make any drug, you have to follow those three major to the pharmacopoeia and formulary, and then the list of Ayurvedic books. There is a long list of, and this has been now revised. Now the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia of India is found in two forms. When we talk about this Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia, it is found in two forms, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 consists of monographs on single drugs, and in which from volume 1 to volume 8, 580 herbs have been listed. Part 2 consists of Ayurvedic Formulary of India, in which Part 1, Part 2 and Part 3, and in them 444, 190 and 350 formulations have been included. The Part 1 first edition came into 1978, consisting of 444 compound formulations, and second edition in 2000. Part 2 also published in 2000, having 119 compound formulations, most commonly manufactured in government pharmacies and used in teaching institutions, government colleges and hospitals. Part 2 volume 1st edition in 2007, having 50 drugs in them, and the Part 3 first edition, Hindi and English, came in 2011, comprises of all such standardized medicine manufactured by government Ayurvedic pharmacies and hospitals like Banaras Hindu University, National Institute of Ayurveda Jaipur, Gujarat Ayurveda University Jamnagar, Ayurveda Mahavidyalaya Thiruvananthapuram, and many of the formulations from Ayurvedic classics for use in the Ministry Health Program. This is the Part 1 of Ayurvedic Formulary of India, in which about 444 formulations have been included. An analysis showed that about 76.6% plant origin substance and animal and mineral origin 11.4 and 12 respectively are included in those formulations. This gives a picture that maximum number of plant origin substances are used in formulations. Regarding the different formulations of compound in nature, the formulations Asavanarist, 𝐴𝐼𝐸, 𝐴𝐸 and 𝐸𝐴𝐸, 𝐷𝐴𝐸, 𝐸𝐸, ghrit, churn, tail, and how much formulations consist in that is given against each formulation. Dravak, Lavanchar, Lep, Vati and Gutika, Varti, Netrabindu and Anjan, Sattva, Kupi Pakvarasayan, Parpati, Pisti, Bhasm, Mandur, Ras Yog Loh. You can see that the number of formulations with their different forms are listed here. This is the second Ayurvedic Formulary of India, part 2. Now, each formulation is present in the following way. This is very important. This is in formulary, split it in two parts, part 1 and part 2. In part 1, definition and method of preparation. Then general precautions, characteristics and preservation. Part 2 consists of name of the formulation, authentic book, chapter with verse, reference in that, name of the ingredients with useful parts and proportions, special method of preparation, doses, and important therapeutic uses. Just to make you clear, this is 𝐻𝐿 Rasayan is a formulation and its synonyms. 𝐻𝐿 is also written at the top, and it is from the Ashtanga Hriday Chikitsa Sthan, 3rd chapter, 125 to 128 verse. At the top, where the name is written, followed by the verse in which the different ingredients with their proportion, later on given in tabular form below the verse, and a specific method of preparation. You can see, then followed by dose, how much dose is given, and anupan, if any, the important therapeutic uses. In this way, the complete picture of the formulation for the drug making is given. This is one of the example of that. Then comes to the Pharmacopoeia of India. That was a formulary. In Pharmacopoeia, which consists of monographs on the single drug of plant, animal and mineral origin. Part 1, volume 1 was published 1986, having 80 monographs. Part 1, volume 2, 1999, 78 monographs, and volume 3, 2001, in having 100 monographs. You can see that when the first one was produced, then this was under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, the Department of Health. Later on, Government Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Department of Indian System of Medicine. In 2001, it became Indian System of Medicine and Homeopathy, the same department which was under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare in 1978. Further, in 2004, the Department of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy came into existence, and later on this has all gone in Ministry of Ayush, means a separate ministry has been constituted in the past. This is about the picture, how much monographs on the single drugs. The important is the volume 8th, first edition 2011, in which the single drug, 15 single drugs with their different forms, powder, alcoholic extract, and so on is ascribed. These are the pharmacopoeia of different period of time published by the Ministry of Ayush now. Not only the drug making, but macroscopic and microscopic atlas of pharmacopoeia drugs which are enlisted in that is also published in 2009 by the Department of Ayush and Homeopathy. Now, in case of the single monograph, each monograph is present in following ways. It is as shown earlier in case of the formulary, the description of that particular formulation with ingredients, dosage form, dose, and therapeutic usage is described. Here it is of the single drug or the monomonograph, name of the plant with useful part, definition of the drug with botanical name, its source, occurrence, distribution, and precautions in collection, if any, synonyms in Sanskrit, names in regional languages, macroscopic description of the drug, microscopic description of the drug, identity, purity and strength, constituents of the drug, properties and action, important formulations, therapeutic uses, and dose is ascribed of each single monograph. Here it is very important that the names in regional languages, which helps in identification of that drug to the particular region available with them. This is the description which I said in case of 𝐴𝐵 or the 𝐴𝐵. You can see that it is defined what 𝐴𝐵 means, followed by the synonyms and names in regional languages with macroscopic description of that fruit covering the powder, microscopic identification under the microscope, identity, purity and strength, constituents, properties and action. Properties as ascribed in the Ayurvedic text, then important formulation made out of that drug, and dose. This clearly makes that the quality, safety and efficacy is considered in the pharmacopoeia regarding this 𝐴𝐵. You can say this is the fruits of the 𝐴𝐵 covering the granules and other cells over the fruit. This is the matured fruit. So, if anybody wants to use the compel, so he has to find out the standard one as described in the monograph. In the market, field and garden, you can see in the market sample, field sample, and the here from our own garden department of Drabigun. Falarun Renu, reddish color, like brick powder. In the market, now the brick powder is adulterated with them. So one has to take the precaution while selecting the Falarenu of Kampilak. Now, in case of minerals and metals, name of the drug, definition, synonyms in Sanskrit, name in other language, broad classification, origin and occurrence, physical properties, optical properties, chemical properties, sodhan, therapeutic use, and dose and important formulations one has to describe. You can see this is the 𝐻𝐿 So all description about this is explained in the monograph. Furthermore, volume 8 was published in 2011, comprising of 60 monographs. Later, in volume 9, 45 monographs published in 2016, and recently volume 10 of minerals and metals is published in 2022. Apart from that, veterinary pharmacopoeia on 50 formulations have also been published in 2022. Now, to conclude, the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia is a book of standard describing the quality of selected drugs that are manufactured, distributed and sold by the licensed manufacturer. And this is for entire country, in pan India. The description of any monomonograph in pharmacopoeia or in formulary, if anybody wants to make it, he has to take the license first for its manufacturing and for distribution to a particular state or all over the country. Now, this is very important that tripartite consensus of the government, union and state government is involved for quality, standard, safety and efficacy of any product of Ayurveda ascribed in the pharmacopoeia or in the classical Ayurvedic text, and the regulation authority from the government of India to regulate to the state government, we giving the guidelines how to give the license, approval of this, the duration of the market supply, the manufacture of a particular drug. Three parties are involved with close interest in the preparation of a pharmacopoeia. Once a pharmacopoeia or an article in it has been approved by the body invested with such authority, and that authority is the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee. It is a gigantic task while preparing a monograph. As said earlier, the different experts, the Dravya expert, the pharmaceutical expert, pharmacology expert, Rasashastra expert, pharmacognostic expert, Sanskrit scholar, work together under the chairman of the Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia Committee, and each monograph is many times revised, corrected, and finally approved for its publication by the ministry. And once it is published by the ministry, it becomes mandatory under the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940 for its regulation further delay. Now, after once it is published, responsibility of the regulating authority in central state to monitor the marketed drug for their quality by sampling. This is very important, and getting them analyzed and take further action. We have the Pharmacopoeia laboratory in Ghaziabad, where the samples which are collected from the different part of country of a particular drug is studied, analyzed, and monitored. The regulatory analysis or the quality control is mandatory by a mandatory body, usually of a government discharging prescribed responsibilities under legislation. Its more important activities are monitoring drug manufacture. This is very important. Those authorities, state or government, central government, can visit any licensed manufacturer and distributor, whether they are distributing it under the proper license for their standard, can take the periodical sample analysis, then establish whether they are correctly constituted as per claims. Outside that, the proportion of the drugs, the ingredients, everything is written on the label. Surveying to what extent non-compliance is prevent and reason thereof, and periodically examining what recommendations must be made to improve statutory provision or extend its coverage. So, it is not pharmacopoeia is concerned for the drug making. Later on, for its quality, safety and efficacy, for the consumer, constant vigilance is done by the central and state government bodies. Thank you.